Assalamu alaikum. Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How many people in this room recognize the names that I'm about to mention? Al-Farabi, Ibn Sina, Al-Razi. So these are the names of Muslim thinkers from the 8th and 9th century that had a major impact on global innovations across the world. And they had mastered a range of disciplines ranging from medicine, philosophy, mathematics, and even literature. So you see, the focus of these people wasn't on any one particular discipline, but in fact they had mastered the art and sciences across a wide spectrum of subjects. And this is a really important ingredient for us to have when we think about innovation. It's the ability to look across the fence and to understand how to integrate with other disciplines. Now let's fast forward to today. Look at the major organizations that have an impact on innovation and customer centricity. Let's begin by looking at Apple as an example. The way we use our phones now has completely changed. We no longer use them just to call or message someone. They become lifestyle management devices. We have the example of Uber and Careem, who've completely disrupted the taxi model. With Amazon, I can order anything from anywhere, at any time, with just a click of a few buttons. And in entertainment, we've got Disney that has been leading the way for decades. So what is it that these organizations and these individuals are doing or have done in the past that makes them really innovative and disruptive? So let's unpack some of these questions with our guests here today, with the experts. And let's move onto this really important subject of innovation using a customer-centric approach. So I'd like to begin the first question with our guest here, Tariq Al-Anqari, who's CEO of e&enterprise. Tariq, what do you believe is the real focus of customer experience in today's world? Is it about capturing lots of survey data, feedback, and trying to make improvements? Or is it really to be innovative and disruptive and to have some breakthrough innovation?
Great. Thank you for this interesting question. I always like to answer by examples, by giving an example. And I'm not sure if many of you followed the Asian Cup that is taking time currently on TV. And if you see between the first and second half, always the most expensive advertisements are happening between two local companies, Jahiz and Hunger Station. And all of their money now is being spent on Hunger Station is offering 100 days of free delivery, and Jahiz paid for an air balloon going around Riyadh and a TV ad offering 180 days free of subscription. Those two companies have a lot of investment in innovation, but yet the cost of acquiring customers is much higher, as you can see, than retaining customers. So they're investing in their innovation, but yet that's not enough, and they're spending a lot of money on retaining and trying to acquire more. Would it be cheaper for them to invest more in their innovation to take it and keep it, to gain their customers and keep them? Definitely yes. So what we do, for example, just another example, what we do at e&enterprise, we're investing very much in that aspect. In our CX practice, where we have around 300 employees dedicated to this, we're covering the full journey end to end, from the avatars, the AI, and the chatbots, all the way to the human empathy aspect, where we're investing now in Riyadh and having 300 call center resource, a BPO and an ITO center that's going to take place here to have that reactive part, the second part of your question. So yes, being innovative is important, but also being reactive and adding the human aspect to it is also important in having a personal customer experience. So it's definitely a holistic approach, not one answer. Being innovative enough is not the answer. Being defensive enough is not the answer. It's a very holistic approach, but having innovation is definitely a key part to connect the full ankles of this chain.
So it's about having a balance between innovation, but also a continuous improvement mechanism, and trying to have the perfect fit between both. I'd like to move over to Osama, and really ask you about, in today's world, we see CX is really being boxed into this digital transformation phase. Do you think this is the right place for customer experience to be, where it's focused on streamlining operations and making incremental improvements? Or do you believe otherwise?
طيب السلام عليكم. Thanks for the question, Hassan. Before answering this question, let me just give a brief or elaborate more about what does innovation mean, or what are the main pillars for having an innovation. There are three main pillars for innovation to be a real innovation, okay? The first pillar is about desirability. The second pillar is about feasibility. And the third pillar is about viability. Honestly speaking, the advancement in the digital era and the emerging technologies and the IT in general definitely attracting us to focus more and more about digital transformation. However, if we review those three major pillars, we can find that digital transformation will play a major role in the feasibility part, where we can see prototyping, MVP, the tools and techniques that we can deliver to enhance the experience on. However, if you are talking about customer experience in general, there are things related that can be delivered or can be accomplished by the emerging technologies, and there are things that doesn't need IT at all. Okay, so to satisfy the desirability part, we need to go and to be near to the customers themselves, to be human-centric, to be citizen-centric, to be patient-centric, okay, to understand their needs. So that's why I'm saying, even though the advancement in the digital era is attracting us more toward digital transformation, however, CX is not only about digital, it's about digital, about experience, about journeys, and about also viability and sustainability.
Great. So I think that's a very key message. So CX is not just limited to digital improvements. It is about understanding people, understanding their process that they follow, their journeys, and going deeper into that. With that said, that nicely flows into what your talk, Joe. So when you speak about endings, you're a huge advocate of what endings are about. Why do you think it's so important? Why do you think the endings are really important factors?
I think in terms of I liked your introduction about these incredible pioneers of these new areas, that when they were first looking at those areas, they weren't mature areas. And if you think of where we spend our money in customer experience, we make incremental improvements for lots of money, and they get mediocre benefits occasionally. And if you look at the patent landscape, for example, loads of patents have gone in about consumer experience in all sorts of sectors, majority of which are doing usage and onboarding. There's a whole landscape of opportunity which we're not looking at, and I think that's the end. There's such a wealth of opportunity in that place, and that's where I think the real pioneers will be, innovation will be.
So it's an area that's really untapped at the moment, which most organizations simply ignore. Is the endings? Yeah.
Absolutely, hardly anyone's really looking at it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a scenario here. We're going to role play a scenario where we have Peter Halsor, who is going to be playing the role of a CEO of an organization who's very demanding and he wants immediate impact and results. And we're going to be inviting Osama Jan as an innovation expert who's going to be replying to Peter's requests. So over to you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you, Hassan. Yeah. So, Osama, thank you for coming up to see me. Appreciate it's probably a little bit scary. You're wondering why you've been invited to the CEO's office, but there's two things that I'd like to discuss with you, really get your ideas on. The first thing is I've got yet another complaint letter from a customer who's complaining to me that it took over a day to get his product delivered. And as you know, our Voice of Customer program is telling us that customers expect instant delivery. So it simply isn't acceptable anymore to be waiting 24 hours to deliver product to the customer. So I need a really quick solution to this problem about how we're going to turn this situation around and get the product fulfillment life cycle down to an hour. How would you approach that? What advice would you give me?
Okay, thanks, Peter. Here, maybe I can give you an advice that we need to be agile. We need to be lean, especially nowadays that the customers are demanding more and more, and the competition is getting higher and higher. Following the old school of having gathering the whole requirements and then analyzing them, then designing them, then developing them, testing them to come up with a complete solution for our customers, I don't think it fits nowadays need, right? So we need to think of divide and conquer. We need to be agile. We need to think of what are the key features, and we can work on it one by one, feature by feature, and we can announce that. We can launch it to our customers so that we can show them that, okay, we are committed. We are delivering you this feature. Try it and give us your feedback. Meanwhile, we can work on the second feature and the third features and vice versa.
Good. When can you start? So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and thanks for coming up again, is assuming that we can do that and we can get our product fulfillment down to less than an hour. As a CEO of a company, I don't want to be in a position where I compete on timescales, because all my competitors can deliver a product within an hour. And once we get down to instant delivery, I won't be able to improve any further on it. So what I really need to do is create some competitive advantage in our proposition more generally, so that we can differentiate our customer experience from our competitors through the experience that we provide. So how would you go about differentiating the customer experience in a competitive way?
Wow, this is a very interesting question. See, if I refer back to the innovation, we have two main types of innovation. We have the incremental innovation, where we have this continuous improvements, and nothing wrong with it. We need to put at least 70% of our efforts and time dedicating for this continuous improvements, because this is the one who is giving us the cash, by the way, to satisfy our customers. However, in parallel, if you are shooting for radical innovation, for breakthrough innovation, for disruptive innovation, we need to understand fully the customer need. We need to understand the job to be done. We need to see what are the unmet needs. By the way, the customers, they can't say whatever they want as a functional perspective. Based on what they have right now, they can give you feedback. However, if you can play the role of the human-centricity design, if you can do the role of the empathy, if you can observe their needs and why they are shooting for this service and why they are using this need, you might come up with a totally different solution, a radical solution, a disruptive innovation that really, really will make you differentiated than other competitors. So we need to play in both ways in parallel. The 70% of the incremental innovation, where we hear our customers, voice of customers, and we deploy whatever they want. In parallel, we need to step down 30% of our time and effort to see exactly what is the job to be done, what is the unmet need, what is the emotional need behind their need, and we can work on completely different solutions that obey whatever they want.
Thank you, Osama. I really like that. I think as a CEO, I can't afford to do things sequentially, and we have to find a way to do things in parallel. So if we can fix the tactical things as a priority, but equally in parallel work to establish more disruptive innovation. And I totally agree that we need to be looking at the context our product plays in the overall lifestyle of the customer, because there might be unmet needs that we could extend our products and services into to create a more holistic solution. So let's get on with it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Peter, for role playing, and thank you very much, Asama, as well for responding to that.
He's got to deliver now. He's on
time to deliver. So I believe, Asama, you have an urgent matter to attend. Thanks very much for being part of the panel, and thanks to the audience.
Thank you so much. يعطيكم العافية. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So just continuing, moving on, just coming back to Tariq again. So as a CEO, you have hundreds of opportunities and you have hundreds of activities to deal with on a daily basis. But how do you actually build a culture which is focused on customer centricity, focused on innovation within the organization as a strategic imperative? How do you go about doing that?
I mean, that has to be part of the company's culture. And again, I'd like to give an example. Us ourselves at e&, we have our own innovation center. Actually, we have two in different cities. And inside that innovation center, we have a co-creation lab where actually we work very closely with our customers, and also we invite people from outside the organization. Sometimes it could be college students, sometimes it could be university professors, or sometimes it could be industrial experts to work closely with our own customers to find a solution for a problem, something very innovative. And then we move from that, we have our own value realization team that will work with them on building the prototype for that solution, or even finding the different pieces of the puzzle that will bring this innovative solution. After that, also we have part of our process, an ecosystem that we have built, and it's a core part of our culture, where we actually go to the continuous support. First of all, you have to do the delivery of that solution, and then you have the ongoing support team that will work on that. So it has to be part of the culture of the organization. So you dedicating a space and a safe environment for that is a core part of it, but also in every desk, in every leadership panel, in every off-site leadership meeting, that need to be part of the core culture that you build in an organization. Having a diverse team, diverse environment, in background, in genders and nationalities and cultures is also a very strong foster of this kind of innovation, and keeping the customer in the center of this at all the time. Having the ongoing touch point with customers is a key part of this.
Yeah.
So it's not only something in theory. We need to actually construct and build it, and we have a space just for that.
Just on that point, so the importance of having a dedicated space and an innovation lab in place. But what do you think what about the skills that people need to have in place to run the innovation lab and to have a very basic understanding of how do we build innovation, the basic skills? How important do you think those skills are with the people? Yeah.
So definitely we need to build it, and we need to have our own resources, but also we need to be humble enough to always call for help. So there are specialized people who will help you. I was capitalizing on what Osama have highlighted earlier, bringing innovation experts who does innovation for living, and to help them foster and work with our team to get out, to have that innovation out of them and build it into that product or that solution that we are building with our customers. Every one of us have this creativity aspect since we were kids, and you can see that in young kids, but then we get placed in boxes in our careers. To have people who will help you get out of this comfort zone and become more creative is definitely something will foster that. But again, keeping the customers and the clients at the center of it is very, very crucial.
It's a really key ingredient there to accelerate and catalyze customer centricity is having, as Tariq mentioned, the skills that you need, bringing in the skills from outside if you don't have them internally, and then also giving people the right infrastructure and space with customer co-creation to really accelerate that. So thanks very much. Joe, if you had 1 minute to explain what is the first thing that you need to do to improve your endings, what would you say?
I think the first thing, and it's super simple, is in your next product meeting and your next customer experience meeting, ask the meeting this phrase: how does it end? And answering that question has such a lot of opportunity space in it, and learning that vocabulary about endings. For example, think of the vocabulary we have around consumer experience and customer experience, branding, design. We have such a rich vocabulary around that, super sophisticated. Yet when it comes to endings, we have next to nothing. We hardly have an opportunity to discuss it. So my really simple request to you is to say, how does it end? And then start there.
So Joe's point here is, don't start from the beginning. Start looking at the ends first.
As well as the other stuff. But yes, look at the end.
Okay, very good. Peter, you've been in the region and you've witnessed CX transformation regionally and across the globe. What is it from your experience that you see are the core challenges people face to implement and really kind of embed innovation and customer centricity? What are those top 2 or 3 challenges that you think?
Okay. Well, I think probably one of the most important things that influences the success of your CX program is going to be organizational alignment. And many of you here will be heads of customer experience. Don't underestimate how much time you need to spend keeping stakeholders aligned. And there are a couple of areas where you need to kind of keep them aligned. The first is around something really basic about just making sure that the entire organization has a common understanding of what customer experience is and what the mandate of your team is to do. Because you need to be an influencer and driver and governor of change within your organization to make sure that the things that will enhance customer experience actually get implemented. And extending from that, you're going to need to be speaking as one with your CEO. So make sure that your CEO and you have a common vision about how you're going to go about delivering change within that organization. Because you're going to have to go to other people, maybe it's the head of IT or head of a product line, and get him to do stuff. And if you have the support of your CEO and you've already aligned everybody to your agenda, that is going to make it a lot easier to deliver impactful change. So one of the tricks I did is I actually wrote the mandate of the CX team is, we will do these things in this way, printed it on a poster outside the door, and every time a senior manager came in to see me, I stopped him at the door and walked him through the things on that poster just to make sure that we had clear organizational alignment. Once you've got that sort of hearts and minds piece in place, don't forget the sort of governance in place. I would encourage you to have a governance, a customer experience governance group or committee, which is actually governing the initiatives that you are recommending and making sure that they get delivered. You don't have to deliver everything yourself. In some cases, those initiatives will be handed over to a facilities manager or a head of IT, but you need to track them as a single portfolio and make sure that they have a person who is responsible for delivering those initiatives and that they're held accountable to that through a governance mechanism. And then governance is a big part of that, sort of making sure things get delivered, and then also the numbers so that you can track that the things you said would improve the experience actually do improve the experience. So those are kind of key highlights for me of what drive critical success.
So it's having a very clear vision and communicating that vision across the organization. And then you said governance. Just on governance, one of the things I've observed personally in the region is sometimes people get obsessed with the numbers and it becomes, managing the entire organization through numbers. Whereas customer experience is a very people-driven discipline. So there is a bit of a danger of falling in that trap as well. It's about maintaining the right balance between governance as well as driving the right culture. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, I totally agree. That's why I say at the beginning, don't underestimate the amount of time that you spend on the emotional aspects and the stakeholder management of bringing the hearts and minds of the organization with you. Yes, the numbers are important. If you have a significant frontline function, they should have CX-related targets and numbers. But if you can't equip those people with a vocabulary and a way of communicating and giving them a framework to actually deliver impactful change that will improve their numbers, then the numbers just become something that you're beating them up with every month, and they don't feel they actually can change anything. So make sure you give them the tools and support they need to deliver the change.
Great. Thanks very much. Just anyone of you want to add to that? Anything?
No, I thought that was fantastic.
All right. I'd like to open the floor for questions from the audience. Would anyone like to ask our guests anything?
Don't be shy.
Okay. Maybe
If not,
if there are no questions, I'm just gonna add.
Yeah.
And then, when you talk about governance and how it's going, I want to know how does you think the play of AI take place within? Yesterday we had a very interesting session about it. I had my colleague محمد who was talking about it, and when you talk about governance and you already have the frameworks in place, but when AI comes in play, how does that impact it?
There's some really interesting solutions in the AI space, particularly around voice of customer, where you can now analyze the voice of customer in real time, according to voice analysis in real time, or text analysis, where customers are submitting complaints and things, or answering surveys in text. So AI can be auditing these communications or dialogues that you're having with these customers, and highlighting things that you should be doing. So, for example, in the UK, where it's a very highly regulated market, and they're concerned about vulnerable customers, AI, when you're talking to a bank customer service representative, if the customer is crying or uses the phrase, "I am in debt," or "I can't afford," AI will be listening to these conversations in real time and highlighting to the customer service representative, this may be a vulnerable customer and you might want to suggest these types of solutions to him. So AI is becoming a really interesting enabler of how we deliver our customer experience.
I have a question for the three of you. Is for people here who are new to innovation, or even for people who are just kicked off on their journey, they want to really understand their customers closer than anyone else. What is that one thing you could do which is immediately actionable and easy to implement to really quickly develop a quick understanding of your customers? I'm not talking about using technology or AI. I'm talking about what is any tool, method, or technique that you can use to quickly step into the customer's world and start unveiling their hidden and unmet needs or wants.
I'll go ahead and start.
Go ahead.
There are a lot of really powerful tools out there that can help you capture the voice of customer, but I don't see the tools as the limitation. Often it's in big organization, the limitation is the ability to make decisions. So organizations will spend a year writing requirements and sending RFPs out and trying to choose the best possible tool to implement. And that is don't let that stop you selecting good tools, but also you should start. The most important thing is to start. So there's not any reason why any of us can't go out into Granada Mall today and talk to a customer and say, hey, everybody's, I do a lot of work with banks. Everybody's got a bank account. You can go out and talk to customers today in the street. Don't let that stop you. And so I often think that the most important thing is to start rather than agonize about getting the best possible VOC tool in place.
Thanks, Peter.
Let me add to this. I think it's important to literally put yourself in the place of the customer. Don't go to the customer with your own solutions out of your shelf and try to sell it to them. Go there, sit with the customer, see what they what they want to do, and find the solution. Be in reality a partner of the customer, regardless if you have the solution or not. And one of the things that gives us a lot of credibility with them is that we help sometimes the customer find the solution, even if we cannot offer it to them. Find it with another person or another entity and guide them to do it. So I think the answer is what you ended your question with, is to literally be in the customer's place and go physically and spend time with the customer.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So we've got just a minute, and would you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think building on both of what the other panelists said, the attitude of go look is really important in anyone who's serious about doing customer experience. And then I would build on that to also make an assumption that you don't know everything. And for me with endings, that's particularly important, just to say, what if the end mattered and how does it end? Those are the types of things, I think really important. Thanks.
Tariq, Joe, and Peter, thank you very much for being here on stage and sharing your wisdom and expertise with all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it from us today, and thank you very much. Can you please give a big round of applause to our guests?
Thank you.